alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Alhamdulillah. We are blessed to continue the study of Surah Taubah. Let's start off with the intentions for seeking knowledge and to teach and teaching. I intend to seek knowledge and to teach, to benefit myself and to benefit others, to remind myself and to remind others, to profit myself and to profit others, to urge adherence to the Book of Allah and the Sunnah of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, to invite to guidance and to guide to that which is good, seeking the face of Allah, His pleasure, His growth, and His rewards. Subhanahu wa ta'ala. Continue on with our Fatiha. A'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajim. Bismillahir rahmanir rahim. Alhamdulillahi rabbil alamin. Ar-Rahmanir Rahim. Maliki yawmiddin. Iyyaka na'budu wa iyyaka nasta'in. Ihdinas siratal mustaqim. صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين آمين بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. Let's continue with our dua. اللهم نور بالقرآن بصري واشرح به صدري وأطلق به لساني واستعمل به بدني وقوي به جناني وأسرع به فهمي بحولك وقوتك فإنه لا حول ولا قوة إلا بك يا أرحم الراحمين والصلاة على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين بفضل سبحانك ربك رب العزة عما يصفون وسلام على المرسلين والحمد لله رب العالمين. الحمد لله الحمد لله الحمد لله. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. رب اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقه قولي. الحمد لله. Alhamdulillah. Continue our Surah Taubah. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. We did verses 84 to 91 in the last lesson. Rasulullah SAW was ordered not to offer for the hypocrites because they disbelieve in Allah and His Messenger and they die in transgression, not to be good, not to offer them. Right? You should not admire their property and children. Allah wishes to chastise them with these in this world, and their souls depart or they are disbelievers. So that is the greatest tragedy of all. As we Muslims believe, we all want to die a goodly death, and to die as disbelievers is the worst of all. And their property and children are their tests for them, which will eventually cause them to be punished. Whenever a chapter is revealed saying, believe in Allah and strive hard with His Messenger, those wealthy ones ask Rasulullah's permission to be left with those who sit. So they are not willing to, although they say they believe, but they are not willing to strive in the path of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. In this case, to go out and fight in the path of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and spend money. They prefer to be with those who remained behind. So it's a humiliation, right? Only the weak and the old and the woman are left behind. They don't mind being left behind. A seal is set on their hearts, so they do not understand. So they cannot see, they cannot realize that they are not gaining by sitting behind. In fact, by being left out of the expedition, they are in a great loss. Rasulullah and those who believe with him strive hard with their property and their persons. They shall have good and will be successful. So this is what they don't understand, that those who work hard in the path of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, right, they will be successful. They shall have good and will be successful. Allah has prepared for them gardens beneath which rivers flow, to abide in them, but that is the great achievement. So that is beauty, that is the reward Allah has promised them for their sacrifice to strive in the path of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and it is a great achievement. And the defaulters among the Bedouins sought permission to be exempted. They said, who lied to Allah and His Messenger, a painful chastisement shall afflict those of them who disbelieve. So they lie, they find reasons, excuses for not going to war, and they will be punished because they did not believe. So it's considered as not believing because the instruction was to those that they believe and fight in the path of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. No sin is on the weak, the sick, nor the poor, so long as they are sincere to Allah and His Messenger. No way against the excellent ones. So there are these groups of people, they are really good people, but they have no means to fight in the path of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. They excel, they are muhsinin, but they do not go because they are of no means, and the weak, the sick, nor the poor, so long as they are sincere to Allah and His Messenger. Allah is forgiving and merciful. So Allah reminds us, right? They have faults, they make mistakes, and Allah will forgive them, and Allah is merciful to them because they are people who are sincere to Allah and His Messenger. Let me continue. Wala ala alladhina ma atawka litahmilahum. Wala, and not. Wa is and la is not. Ala on alladhina, those ma that atauka, ata can be come, can be give, can be bring. Here is came, past tense. Ka, the wow here represents a they, as an alif there, but of course the alif is not, it's removed because the ka is there. Alif always signify the end of a word. So with the ka, so the ka has caused the word to end with the ka. So ka here refers to Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Litahmilahum. Li here is so that. Ta is you, the hamil is hamala is like to find something to sit on, to bear them. Hamil is to bear, and hamilahum. So you find mount for them. So it's an animal for them to ride on, because Tabuk, at least we are referring to Tabuk here most of the time, is very far from Medina. Qulta, you say, and this is al-madi, ta at the end here, qulta, qala here, qawl, the root word, ta, you say. La ajidu, la not, his I, ajidu is al-mudari, rafa state, the root word is wajada, la ajidu, ma ahmilukum, that, again, ahmilu, the I here is I, and this is al-mudari, rafa state. Ahmilu, cause you to be mounted. I mount you. That means I cannot find any horse or camel so that you can follow us in the expedition. Alayhi, on it. All right. So wala ala alladhina ma atawka litahmilahum qulta la ajidu ma ahmilukum alayhi. Tawallau, they turn, what is walla? But the ta, right, it's tafa'ala structure. Here they cause themselves to turn tawallau, or alif they. So this is fi'l madi. The ta is not you, it's structural change, tafa'ala structure. Wa a'yunuhum, ainun, plural a'yun, and their eyes, tafidu, they flow. Ta is referring to the eyes here, is considered as a single female. So the ta refers to a female here. This is very mudari, rafa state. Tafidu minad dam'i, from tears. Min is from, dam'i is tears. So of course it is jar. This is kasrah here because this is min is huruf jar. Hazanan. Hazanan is grieving. If the word la tahazan, so hazana is a root word. But it is this is an ism because it's tanween here. Allah, this one two word an and la. An is that, la is not, that not. Ya jidu, they find, right? Wajada here, the ya and the waw alif they, right? This is nasab state because of the la here. Allah ya jidu ma yunfiqun, what they spend. Nafaqa is spent. Right, yunfiqun, again for al-mudari and the rafa state. Tawallaw wa a'yunuhum tafidu min ad-dam'i hazanan alla yajidu ma yunfiqun. nor in those who, when they came to you that you might carry them, you said, I cannot find that which to carry you. They went back, or their eyes overflowed with tears on account of grief for not finding that which they should spend. All right, so Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala now brings our attention to another group of people, right? They will not be blamed. Wala, what is and here talking about blame there? They will not be blamed, they will not be considered as hypocrites, right? Of any faults can be on them because so this is another group of people. Wala ala ladina, and not on those idha ma atauka, when that they came to you, so that you will give them amount. Now, is there any blame to be attached to those who may be physically able to fight, but have no means of transport to take them to the battlefield? These people approached Rasulullah SAW, hoping that he could provide them with mounts to join the expedition. So usually what happens is that whenever Rasulullah SAW calls for any expedition, the rich would buy a few, maybe camels or horses, any kind of mount that would allow them to travel, right, to the battlefields, and would distribute it among, would give it to Rasulullah SAW, and he would give to the very poor who can't afford to have their own mounts. قُلْتَ لَا أَجِدُ مَا أَحْمِلُكُمْ عَلَيْهِ. You said, so Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is referring to Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam, that not I find what that I can carry you all on it. Right? Allah. So these are moments. Sometimes, there are poor people is more than the number of horses or that number of camels that they have donated. So the poor Rasulullah SAW couldn't give them any, so they cannot have any mounts. So this is the moment, this is a scenario where Rasulullah SAW couldn't give any mount to people who came to him, right, to join the expedition. However, Rasulullah SAW told them that he didn't have any. تولوا وأعينهم نفيض من الدمع حزنا. So Allah relates to us their state. They will actually turn back because, and their eyes were so welling with tears because they're so sad, right, that they couldn't follow in the expedition. They don't have means, they don't have money to spend, and they were hoping that they could get, at least Rasulullah would help them to have some transport. But no, Rasulullah couldn't even find for them any transport. So when they realized that they are unable to join the army for this reason, their eyes overflow with tears of sadness. A report attributed to Ibn Abbas mentions that Rasulullah ordered his companions to get ready for a campaign. A group of his companions, among whom was Abdullah bin Mughaffil al-Mazini, went to him and asked and said, Ya Rasulullah, could you give us some mounts, for we have none? Rasulullah said to them, I have no means of transporting you. They were weeping as they went away because it hurt them not to be able to join the campaign, and they could not find any means of transport nor cover their own expenses. That's the reality. It's a story of those people who desire to follow in a campaign, but they don't have the means to go. Hence, Allah states that exemption in His revelation. So no one can blame them or get angry with them because they are among those who are not able to spend money for themselves. That's Rasulullah addressing companions on their way back from Tabuk, saying, there are people in Medina who have been with you all along your journey. And the companions wondered why, while they have been in Medina. They explained, yes, while they had been in Medina because they were forced to stay behind by legitimate reasons, but they really did not want to stay. So Rasulullah is telling the Sahabas here that in actual fact, there are those who are actually in Medina, but actually they are together with them in the expedition, which means they get the reward of being in the expedition. They are considered as going out together with Rasulullah in the expedition because they do not have the means to go for the expedition. Their feelings are genuine as they grieve at their inability to take part in the struggle for Allah's cause. This was true of a number of people at the time of Rasulullah SAW, whose names are variously given in different reports, but which all agree that the event was real indeed. Allah that not yajidu ma yunfiqun. They found what they can spend. It means they cannot find anything that they can spend on. Basically, they do not have the means to spend on anything to help to bring them to fight. A report attributed to Ibn Abbas radiallahu anhu mentions that Rasulullah SAW ordered his companions to get ready for a campaign. A group of his companions, we did that. Sorry. So they were weeping, so they are not so weeping. Hence Allah starts the exemption in his revelation. Sorry. I redo that double time. So, but basically, they are the ones, they have no means to spend, right, to go to war, to go to fight with Rasulullah SAW. Innama, only that, sabilu ala alladhina, the way. You were talking about the way here. It is the way of finding reasons to blame them for themselves. Innama, only that, sabilu, the way, ala alladhina, on those, yasta'dhinunaka, they seek permission from you. Yasta'dhinu, idhin is permission, is star structure here, the ya and the waw noon there, ka is you, they seek permission from you, idhin here. Wahum aghniya, while they rich. Aghniya from the word aghani, they have means and they are rich, but they seek permission. Innama, only that, sabilu ala allazina yasta'zinunaka wahum aghniya, radu, they were pleased. From the word rida, right? Radu, waw alif, so it's fi'al madi, waw alif at the end, past tense, waw alif they, bi'an, in that, yakunu, they were, it's present future tense, right? The an here makes it nasab here. An is sort of nasab. Yakunu ma'al khawalifi. Khawalif are those who are left behind. Khalif. Khalafa is to be left behind, to be behind. Ma'a is with those who stayed behind. They were with those who stayed behind. Change it to a with here. Ma'a is with those who stayed behind. All right. So here, Radu, they were pleased in that yakunu ma'al walif wa taba'a, and sealed Allah. So Allah is the one who sealed. Allah is a who here. We understand that means Allah is Rafa. Allah is the one who sealed and sealed Allah ala qulubihim, on their hearts. Ala on qalbun, one, qulub, many, on their hearts. Fahum, then they, la ya'lamun, not they know. Alama ilmu, ya and waw nun, they, fi'il mudari, rafa, state, not they know. The way is only against those who ask permission of you, though they are rich. They have chosen to be with those who remain behind, and Allah has set a seal upon their hearts, so they do not know. Innama sabilu ala alladhina yasta'dhinunaka wa hum aghniya. So Allah now gives an example of those whom we can find faults with. Who are they? They are people who are rich, and yet they sought permission to be left behind, not to go to war. The way of blame and punishment is open only to those who ask you permission not to participate in the holy struggle while they are rich. They possess enough possibilities and means and necessary means for this affair. Radu, they are pleased. With that, they were yakunu ma'al khawalif, with those who are left behind. So this is an insult. This is deriding them, right? Sarcasm, right? How can you be men would not want to be left behind in war, real men? So this disgrace is enough for them that they contented to stay back in Medina with the persons who are feeble, sick, and handicapped, and to be deprived from the honor of participation in the battlefield. So it is making fun of them or deriding them, showing them how disgraceful is it. But there's a reality. They were so happy to be left behind. وَطَبَعَ اللَّهُ عَلَىٰ قُلُوبِهِمْ فَهُمْ لَا يَعْلَمُونَ. And Allah sealed their hearts. Right? Because of their, Allah always presents their state, and then Allah explains that because of their state, their hearts are sealed. That means they are not able to understand. Fahum, then they la ya'lamun, not they know or they understand. They don't understand the reality of their state. Somehow they don't seem to understand that. This retribution is enough for them that because of their own ugly deeds, Allah has seized them from the ability of contemplation and comprehension by sealing their hearts. So they are not able to understand the reality, the rewards of going out to fight in the path of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, knowing that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is the one who's going to protect them, is going to give them victory, having confidence in Allah, and not being afraid of dying in the path of Allah, because to die in the path of Allah would be included among the martyrs, the shaheeds. Therefore, they do not know what kind of excellent ranks they have lost. A person is insincere if he feels happy that he was excused because of those reasons, or criticizes the activities of the mission or its participants, talks negatively about it, or spreads damaging rumors. We heard that they were causing the others, trying to dissuade people from going to Tabuk with Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. They were saying that it's hot, and it's going to be very long. Anyway, the Romans are very powerful and very strong. No way such a small band of people can defeat the Romans. So this was the kind of a negative talk that they were making, and trying to dissuade people from going, because they don't want to go. They don't want to be seen as bad, and so they are trying to make others not go with them. That's the reality of people who commit sins. They don't want to be the only one committing sins, so they find ways and means to encourage others to commit sin also, so that they don't seem bad. If a person is able to avoid a responsibility by making illegitimate excuses to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, he is still guilty of shirking responsibility, even if people accept his excuse. Able to avoid a responsibility, right? He is still guilty of shirking responsibility, even if people accept his excuse. So basically, they are making all kinds of excuses, and Rasulullah just let go, whatever, like that kind of thing. You can do whatever you want to do. You can see Rasulullah is not going to accuse them of lying, although he knew that they had money and resources and everything. But even if Rasulullah has allowed them to stay back, they will still be guilty of not fighting in the path of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. When they are called to, it's a responsibility then. When a person adopts cowardice or starts shirking responsibility, he accepts even such situations that are normally considered personally dishonorable and humiliating by norms of the society. So he's just so cowardly, right? Or he doesn't want to be responsible. So even if he is seen as the weak, the poor, he doesn't mind. He's fine with it, because he doesn't want to go. As he continues to respond with cowardice, or to avoid responsibility or sacrifices expected of him, he becomes so conditioned to that humiliation or dishonor that he does not even feel ashamed of it and accept it as a normal situation. It's a reality of people who insist on doing certain things which society would look down upon, but because they just don't want to sacrifice, so they just they don't feel ashamed anymore, right, for their state. This conditioning is described by the verse of Allah as Allah has sealed their minds, as they do not even realize the consequences of their attitude. So they have caused themselves to be oblivious to the humiliation they are in. Indeed, idleness and cheap comfort seal minds and hearts and inactivate feelings and interaction. And so you don't get much out of being idle or going for cheap forms of comfort, because it seals your minds and your hearts are not able to move forward, right? To try to achieve. And so your feelings are inactivated and your interactions. Action is a mark of life, and it also inspires life. Facing danger, heightened senses, taps latent capabilities, enhances physical ability, and makes use of all potentials. So at times must be brave enough to move forward, even if it's dangerous, but our trust in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala allows us to move no matter how difficult things can be. It makes human beings better able to utilize all their resources whenever there is a need to do so. Yeah, tadiru from the adara, udur is to give excuses. When you see somebody is udur, it means sick, but it's actually he is excused. Yeah, tadiru adara, ta inside, this is if ta'ala structure. So again, this is mudari with past plural, rafa. Ya tadirun, they make excuses. Ilaikum, to you. Iza raja'tum, when you return. Raja'a is return, tum is you all. Ilaihim, to them. Qul, say, la ta'tadiru, don't make excuses. That is fi'il amr there. La ta'tadiru, don't make excuses. Lan nu'mina lakum, lan never. Nu'mina, we believe. So lan is huruf. Huruf nasab, so nu'mina, it is mudari in this nasab state. Nasab because there's a fatha at the nun. The nun at the beginning is the we, so it's fi'il mudari. Lan nu'mina lakum, in you. Ya'tadiruna ilaykum idha raja'tum ilayhim qul la ta'tadiru lan nu'mina lakum. Thumma turadduna, then you will be brought back. Turadduna ila, to alimul ghaib, the knower of the unseen. Alimul ghaib is the mudaf ilai structure. Alim is one who knows, but the of the al is taken in translation because alim cannot have a since it is the first term in the mudaf ilai, and ila is huruf jar, that is why it's alimi. Then ghaibi is jar because of the structure itself. It's called mudaf ilai, where the second word is in its jar state. And so that's washahadati, and the unseen. So shahada also in jar because it is a continuation of the mudaf ilai here. Alimil ghaibi and also alimish shahada. So that's what it is, but it is alim. Alim is not repeated. It's no need to repeat alim here. Fayunabbi'ukum, root word is naba'a. Naba'a is to inform, to tell, to give news. Fa is then, you is he. Referring to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Yunabbi'u is the fa'ala structure. And that is fi'il mudari, rafa'kum, you all. Bima, of what kuntum, you were ta'malun, is amal. Amal is to do, alam is no. Just now we have alama, now we have amala. Words is the letters are interchange. I mean, change in position, but one is to do and the other one is to know. But of course, amal is to do with knowledge. ثم تردون إلى عالم الغيب والشهادة فينبئكم بما كنتم تعملون. They will excuse themselves to you when you go back to them. Say, Ush, no excuse. By no means will we believe you. Indeed, Allah has informed us of matters relating to you. And now Allah and His Messenger will see your doings. And it shall be brought back to the knower of the unseen and the seen, and he will inform you of what you did. There is a mistake here. See what you did. Oh, this one, I missed that one. So we did that. Not believe in you. Qad naba'ana. Surely. Qad is surely. Naba'ana. Naba'ana means from the word naba'a. Right? Naba'a here. Na is so nabba'a is fi'il madi, referring to Allah. See, Allah is Rafa, yeah? So Allah informed us. So informed us, nabba'ana, informed us Allah, min akhbarikum, of your story. Khabar, story, kum is of your story. Wasayara, wa is and sa is will, yara is to see. Allah is going to see. Yara is fi'il madi here. Allahu, he is the one who sees. Wasayara Allahu amalakum. Amala is amal. Deeds, kum is your deeds. Wa rasuluhu, and his messenger. Wa is and rasulu is in nafa, so rasul will be seeing also. Wasayarallahu amalukum wa rasuluhu, and his messenger. Qad nabba'ana Allahu min akhbarikum wasayarallahu amalakum wa rasuluhu. So we've gone through, so we'll just read through. Thumma turadduna ila alimil ghaibi wa shahadati fayunabbi'ukum bima kuntum ta'malun. All right, so that's what it is. Allah says, ya'tadhiruna ilaykum idha raja'tum ilayhim. Allah says, they will give excuses to you when you return to them. So this is after the expedition, because when you return to them. So they left before Rasulullah SAW leave. They asked for permission to be exempted, and they were exempted. Rasulullah went on for the expedition, came back, they still want to give excuses. Ya'tadhiruna ilaykum idha raja'tum ilayhim. This is a piece of information which Allah gives to his messenger and the faithful among his companions. So Allah has informed the messenger before he returned that these hypocrites will be giving excuses of why they cannot go on the expedition. It tells them of what those hypocrites will be doing when the Muslims return from their arduous expedition. This confirms that these verses were revealed when the Muslim army was on its way back from the expedition and before they had arrived in Medina. So this is Tabuk. The hypocrites would come with their excuses because they would be ashamed to let their action be seen in its true light. It would be disgraceful to let it be seen with its real motives, which were a weak faith, a preference for personal safety, and an unwillingness to fight a great power. So this is what their motives are, and it's quite clear. Everybody can know that why they cannot go, because they don't have strong faith. If you have strong faith, you have no worries at all. You will go out and fight the path of Allah, knowing Allah looks on at you. If it's time for you to go, you go and you'll be shaheed. But if it's not, then you will continue life and be among those who fought for the victory of Islam. And of course, they are afraid. People will find out that they're actually very selfish people, very self-centered people. They worry for their own safety, and of course to fight a great power, in this case the Romans. قُلْ لَا تَعْتَذِرُوا لَن نُؤْمِنَ لَكُمْ. So Rasulullah is asked to say, not, don't give excuses. Don't give excuses. Never we believe in you. So very, very firm. Rasulullah is taught to say this firmly. Rasulullah is one person who's very, very mild, very beautiful ahlak. He doesn't know how to shout and like be firm with people in that sense. Here Allah is telling him, do it. Say, don't give excuses. We know you are giving excuses. Rasulullah has always been accepting the excuses for not fighting and things like that. But this time around, Allah is telling him, no, tell them off. Rasulullah is instructed to tell them to spare themselves the trouble of offering excuses because they are not going to be believed. It is no longer the case that these hypocrites can be taken on the basis of appearances. Allah has revealed the truth about them to his messenger ﷺ, and has informed him of their motives, which are now sin for what they truly are. So there is no more, they cannot put on appearances anymore. They are now being rejected and not allowed to give excuses. The Arabic expression used here is highly significant. The words indicating refusal to accept the excuses of the hypocrites are identical to those used in reference to being believers. right? That means here, la ta'tadiru. So that means because you are not, so the word la nu'mina, we will not believe in you, that we are believers who will not believe in you. Don't give us any excuse. So it's a very powerful statement, right? To remind these people that we are believers and you are not like believers because you want to give excuses. This connotes verbal acceptance, rational trust, and inner faith and reassurance. It also involves a believer's trust in Arab and a mutual trust between all believers. So this one, inadvertently, it actually reminds those people who want to give excuses, right, that we are not accepting you. We are only accepting believers, right? You are making stories. So this shows a verbal acceptance, rational trust, and inner faith and reassurance that the Muslims, when they are saying that, right, it shows that they accept what Allah has said, they trust in Allah, and they have faith in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and they are assured, right, of following Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. It also involves a believer's trust in his Rabb and a mutual trust between all believers. قَدْ نَبَّأَنَا اللَّهُ مِنْ أَخْبَارِكُمْ. Surely we are informed. Allah informed us of your news, of your story. That means they know about you. The Muslims here are to be firm, to tell them that we know everything about you because Allah informs us. Allah has informed them of the true nature of the hypocrites who chose to be left behind. وَسَيَرَ اللَّهُ عَمَلَكُمْ وَرَسُولُهُ. And Allah will see your deeds and his Rasul. That means Allah and his Rasul, both of them will see your deeds. That means you cannot hide any more of your deeds. Yes, those offering their excuses are told not to do so because words are of no use. They need to show what they do. If their action confirms what they say, then their assertions will be true. If not, there can be no trust or acceptance. Allah will see them and his Rasul will also see them, which means they cannot hide from what they are doing. ثُمَّ تُرَدُّونَ إِلَىٰ عَالِمِ الْغَيْبِ وَالشَّهَادَةِ. Then, after some time, you all will be returned, talking to these people who are hypocrites, to the knower of the unseen and the seen. So informing them, making a reference to them, making them realize that whatever they do, even if it's not seen by people, right, you would all be returned to Allah. He knows everything that you do. You cannot give excuses to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala because he knows the seen and the unseen. Allah sees every action and knows every secret hidden in every heart. He knows the real intentions of all his creation. Rasulullah SAW was to take what people say in conjunction with what they do, right? So here Rasulullah is to say to what they do is what they say. So we have to, Rasulullah cannot know beyond that. That will be the basis of internal relationships in the Muslim community. Moreover, matters will not end in this life on earth. They will eventually come, the reckoning, and the reward, which will be based on Allah's absolute power of what is done openly and what remains in people's hearts. Right, so we have to understand when you return, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala knows exactly your state, right? That you have whatever you do in secret, whatever you do openly, Allah knows exactly what it is and you will be accountable for it. So it's a reminder of accountability here. فَيُنَبِّئُكُمْ. We are aware that we are talking to the hypocrites who had pretended to believe. And in their pretension of belief, they actually would attend circles of conversation, circles of Quran, revelations by Rasulullah SAW. And so they are aware of all these things. So they are reminded, hoping that they would actually change their ways and be true believers in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. فَيُنَبِّئُكُمْ. And he informed you بِمَا كُنْتُمْ تَعْمَلُونَ, of what. So when you go back to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, he knows whatever is unseen and whatever is seen. Then he will inform you of whatever you were doing. Okay? So you will be shown all your actions in the next world and you cannot run away from it because the one who shows you is the knower of the seen and the unseen and seen. Allah will inform you of your deeds, whether they are good or evil, and will recompense you for them. Allah said that the hypocrites will swear to the believers in apology, so the believers turn away from them without admonishing them. Therefore, Allah ordered disgracing them by turning away from them. That moment of the return to the knower, which is mentioned in the verse, is the time of death, when the curtains will be utterly removed and human beings will understand the facts. So that's the reality. Everyone will be, they are trying to avoid being avoid being given, avoid being chastised for their lack of faith and cowardice. So they find excuses. But the Muslims were taught by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, were taught by Allah to tell them, we know your state, we know who you are, we know everything that you do. So we're not going to listen to you. We're not going to believe your excuses. So this is about returning to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, where you will be informed of what you did. They know that they do what they do, but Allah, limitless is seen His glory. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala knows they're doing better than they, and He will tell them about this. It is often the case that a person may not be aware of an inner motive for something he does. Allah knows it better than he. An action may very often produce an outcome that may remain unknown to the person who performed it. Right? So this is the reality of life. We do things, but sometimes our intentions might not be right. Right. So here is reminding people that whatever you do in secret, even you might have forgotten what you did, right? Because it's so secret that, or you expose whatever you do in you showing what you did, that could be an inner reality of what is your real intention. So Allah knows best, and He will show you, He will inform you of your real intentions of doing things. It's meant here is that Allah gives people the results of what they used to do. That is the reward they will have for their actions. Here, though, they are only informed, and the reward itself is not specified. So here, it gives them that fear that whatever they do is not hidden from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and they will know about what they did in the next world, and that means a punishment for them, although it's not specified here. Saya halifu, halafa is to swear. Saya halifuna, they will swear. Sa is will. Ya halifuna, halafa, this is they. Ya in the waw nun, so this is fi'il mudari, rafa state. Billahi, by Allah. Lakum, to you. Idha, when. In qalabtum, you return. All right, qalaba has the meaning of return. You cause yourself to return. Tum is you. This is fi'il madi here. The tum is the actor. You return. She's past tense. Ilahim, to them. Litu'aridu, so that so that you turn away. The ta is a you here. You all turn away. Anhum, from them. Fa'aridu, then turn away from them. Turn away from them. Fa'aridu anhum. Sayahlifuna billahi lakum idza qalabtum ilaihim litu'ridu anhum fa'aridu anhum. Innahum, surely they, rijsun, filth. Wa ma'wahum, and their home, ma'wa is from the word a place, an abode, a place of safety, right? But their place of safety is Jahannam. Jahannam is the hellfire. Jaza'an, jaza is a recompense. Bima, with what? Kanu, they were yaksibun, earning. They were earning, they will swear to you by Allah when you return to them, so that you may turn aside from them. So do turn aside from them. Surely they are unclean, and their abode is hell, a recompense for what they earned. All right, here. Sayahlifuna. So Allah again informed Rasulullah SAW that they will swear by Allah to you, lakum, to you. Idang qalabtum, so when you return, they will swear to you why they had to miss the expedition. when you return. So the Muslims will be returning from the expedition, right? And then they will inform that the hypocrites will swear, right, for whatever they have done. Again, I mean, to swear that they are truthful in their excuses. They told Aridu and home so that you would turn away from them. But this turn away here is so that you will just leave them alone and not disturb them or not disbelieve in them, right? So in the previous verse, Allah said that Allah told the believers to tell the disbelievers, or the Prophet in particular, right, when they give excuses that you don't believe in them at all, right? But now, because you say you don't believe, because you know the truth about them, because Allah has revealed the truth to them, and they will return to their own, the knower of the unseen and sin. Then Allah says they will try to convince you that they are truthful by swearing in the name of Allah to you when you return back to them, so that you would just leave them alone. After the occurrence of the battle of Tabuk, when the Muslims returned to Medina, those hypocrites who had not participated in that battle in order to justify their action came to them swearing that they had plausible excuses. So they just keep on trying to prove that they are not cheating, that they are honest with their excuses. They really have their excuse. So one way of proving that they are true is to swear. Allah knew, and He told His messengers as much, that they would try to make their excuses easier to accept by swearing to the truth. So if people swear, they never do it, then people must believe. By doing so, they hope to make the Muslims overlook what they had done so that they might forgive them their negligence without question. So that was the whole idea, to swear. When you swear by Allah, that means you want people to believe you, because that's why you're swearing by Allah, right? فَأَعْرِضُوا عَنْهُمْ, and turn away from them. They want you to avoid them, or they want you to just let go of them in their lives. Then Allah tells them, you turn away from them, don't be with them. But Muslims are commanded to turn away from them, that is, as a protest to their ugly work. They must avoid speaking with them. They tell lies, they swear by their lies. We are not going to condone that. Just turn away from them. However, renouncement is often fulfilled either upon nobility and connivance, or upon wrath and heedlessness. In this verse, it has been used in both senses. The hypocrites asked for remittal and pardoning their fault, and Allah had commanded the Muslims to have a wrathful renouncement unto them. To denounce them, right? Go against them, right? Don't accept them, right? They want to be people to acknowledge that they are good, right? And they are making good, their excuses are true excuses, but instead Allah turns it around and show them wrath and heedlessness. So they were hoping that you would just let go of them. Yes, let go, but with wrath and heedlessness. So it says it uses both senses. The hypocrites ask for remittal and pardoning their faults, so that is nobility and connivance. And Allah commanded the Muslims to have a wrathful renouncement unto them, and that is wrath and heedlessness. When Rasulullah returned from the Battle of Tabuk, he told the Muslims not to associate with the hypocrites who abandoned going to the battles. Completely cut off from those people who had the means but didn't want to go who had the physical and means and also monetary means, but they don't want to. So leave them alone, don't associate with them, boycott them. The Arabic word lita'aridu, right? So that you would turn away from them. And fa'aridu, and this is fi'il amar, right? Then turn away of the same root word is arada. But have different senses in the two sentences in which they occur. Right? In the first sentence, it means that you may turn away from them and forbear them and may not take them to a task. The second sentence, it means so turn away from them and break off all connections with them and have nothing to do with them, as if you had broken off completely with them, and they with you. So we see two different words used by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. This is of the beautiful ways in which Allah engages people with these words, right, to show different meanings. Innahum rijsun, Allah explains, surely they are filth. So they are condemned and denounced as being filthy. They are impure inwardly and in their creed. So inwardly they are impure, their beliefs are wrong, everything is impure, they are not true to their beliefs. Thus Muslims should have nothing to do with them, boycott them. Allah instructs his messenger to leave them alone, not as a sign of forgiveness, but as a sign of turning away from them, because they are abominable, they're horrible people, they are bad, they are just filthy with their ways of doing things. This gives a physical expression of mental impurity. So the word rijs, right? In actual fact, mentally they are impure, right? Emotionally they are impure. Their hearts are impure. But Allah gives it a physical expression by calling them filth, rijs. So rijs means anything that's dirty, that's horrible. They are not physically or bodily unclean, but they are unclean mentally as a result of their actions. The physical description gives an image that is much more abominable, revolting, and contemptible. So by using this word rijs, Allah is describing them physically to be bad, to be revolting, and to be contemptible. They are more concerned with their personal safety than striving for the cause of the community, and are hence described as unclean. The impurity contaminates souls, spreads disease, and fills people with disgust, just like a rotten dead body left in their midst. So that's how Allah puts it across to show how horrible their state is. وَمَأْوَاهُمْ جَهَنَّمْ, and their home and their abode is Jahannam. So it's a place where they seek refuge. Of course, it's a sarcasm because they can't seek refuge in Jahannam. They have no choice but to leave, to move into Jahannam, right, and stay there. They feel that they gain by staying behind, securing their safety and comfort and enjoying their wealth. In fact, the fact is that in this life they are unclean while they waste their share of the life to come. They end up in utter loss, taking refuge in hell. Jaza'am bima kanu yakasibun, a recompense, definitely a recompense, right? Because of what they used to earn. What is it that they earn? They earn from their sins and evil deeds. So they earn evil, they earn sins, right? From their, they do wrong and they earn sins. They earn all these bad, these punishments that they are given because they earn it. They did wrong and they earn the punishments. That is their recompense. Yahlifuna lakum litardaw anhum. They swear. Again, Allah talks about them swearing, halafa, same word. Lakum, to you, litardaw, from the word rida. Ta is so that you would be pleased on them, so that you are pleased anhum, on them. Fa'in tardaw anhum, fa is then in is if tardaw, you are pleased with them or on them. Yahlifuna lakum litardaw anhum, fa'in tardaw anhum, فَإِنَّ اللَّهَ, then surely Allah, fa is then inna, surely Allah, la yarda, not he is pleased. La is not yarda, ya is he, yarda, nasab state, yarda, not he is pleased, anil qawmil fasiqeen, on the transgressing people. Fisq, fasaqa means to deviate from the path of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. They are not on the straight path. They don't want to follow the straight path. They don't want to follow the path of Rasulullah. So they transgressed. They went out of the path of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So they will swear to you that you may be pleased with them, but if you are pleased with them, yet surely Allah is not pleased with the transgressing people. Very firm, very strong statements from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Again, they swear to you. Why did they swear? So that you would be pleased with them, so that you will feel you are okay with them. They have made their promises. They swore, so they must be right. They must be true to their words because they swore, right? So you are happy with them. So Allah says, Allah tells the believers that they will swear to you because they want you to be happy with them. They first request the Muslims to overlook what they have done. Then they gradually ask for more, trying to make the Muslims feel easy with them so that they can secure their own safety within the community. So this is how they work. Right? Initially, they swear so that people will just forget about what they have done. And also they swear so that people will be pleased with them. They want to ensure that the Muslims continue to accept their outward appearances, treating them on that basis and not mounting a campaign against them as Allah has ordered them in this final definitive description of relations with Muslims and hypocrites. So Allah is very firm here. This is towards the end of Rasulullah's mission. Tabuk is the last expedition that Rasulullah went to, and the Muslims are now ordered to remove the hypocrites from Medina, to boycott them, to know that, to expose them as hypocrites. فَإِن تَرْضَوْا عَنْهُمْ, that if you are pleased with them, فَإِنَّ اللَّهَ, then Allah, لَا يَرْضَى, not He be pleased, عَنِ الْقَوْمِ الْفَاسِقِينَ, on the people, on the rebellious people or the transgressing. So Allah says, yes, maybe you might be pleased with them or you're okay because they promise. You see, Allah is, they swear. So the swearing causes you to like, okay lah, accept them. Allah is going to accept them because Allah knows they are transgressing people. To emphasize, فَإِنَّ اللَّهَ, surely Allah, لَا يَرْضَى, not He be pleased with the people who are transgressing. So Allah makes it clear that they have transgressed by staying behind because their action is motivated by their lack of faith. He also tells the Muslim community that He will never be pleased with wrongdoing people, even though they may be able to win acceptance with the Muslims to their swearing and excuses. So they swear by what they say, they swear by Allah that they really cannot go because they are sick, because all kinds of excuses they come forward. Allah says, even if you're okay with that, Allah is not going to be okay because why? Allah knows that they are transgressing. It is Allah's verdict that is final. People's acceptance, though they may be Muslims, will not change their position with Allah and will avail them nothing. The only way to win Allah's acceptance is to change their attitude and to embrace the true faith leading to Allah's pleasure. So Allah has thus revealed the true situation of those living among the Muslim community and staying behind without having any real cause for exemption. So this is a final state where Allah renounce all of these hypocrites among the believers. He has also defined the sort of relations that should prevail between the Muslim community and the hypocrites in the same way as He defined the relationship between His community and the idolaters on the one hand, and between it and the followers of earlier revelations on the other hand. So Allah has clearly made clear Muslims and idolaters, Muslims and people of the book, and now Muslims and hypocrites. At the time of Rasulullah SAW, Muslims had the benefit of the communications from Allah to Rasulullah SAW. Considering that we do not have that source of information, we must not dispute anyone's claim to be exempt from a valid reason unless the excuse is blatantly invalid or there is clear and strong evidence of its invalidity. So this is a disclaimer by the Mufassirin, saying that here, in this situation, this particular verse, the Muslims were informed what to do, right? The Muslims were informed that these hypocrites, they can swear by Allah, but the swearing is not true. So because the swearing is not true, because they are transgressing people, you should not be good to them. You should not accept them. You should just move away from them. So here he's saying that in that case, we are sure of their intent. But with our living now in this world where we do not get information from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala as revelation, we cannot accuse anyone of lying in their swearing because we have no proof of that. Unless it's really blatant, unless there's strong evidence to prove, to point to the fact that they are swearing but not to the truth. On the other hand, it does not mean that we should act naively or blindly and ignore a person's hypocritical behavior. So there's always caution there, right? When people swear and make claims, right? And although we can't be so sure what is their real intention, but we should have caution. You must not judge anyone's intentions, but you must point out hypocritical behavior and encourage people to avoid it. If someone practices hypocritical behavior, that person should not be befriended, socialized with, held in esteem, accorded protocols, or given a position of responsibility. So we must be aware of such people and not honor them, and not entertain them, and not accept them and give them powers and such. Otherwise, it will spread hypocrisy and cause moral degeneration in the society, as been earlier discussed. Even in verse 94, the hypocrites are being told that their performance will be watched. It is their future performance that will determine if they still belong to the hypocritical community or have decided to join the community of the sincere believers. So you'll be watched. Allah tells them they will be watched. See whether they would want to turn back to the path of Allah, or they will still want to continue being hypocrites. The command to turn away from them, once again, means that the Muslims should segregate themselves completely from the hypocrites. All right, let's recite. وَجَاءَ الْمُعَذِّرُونَ مِنَ الْأَعْرَابِ لِيُؤْذَنَ لَهُمْ وَقَعَدَ الَّذِينَ كَذَبُوا اللَّهَ وَرَسُولَهُ سَيُصِيبُ الَّذِينَ كَفَرُوا مِنْهُمْ عَذَابٌ أَلِيمٌ ليس على الضعفاء ولا على المرضى ولا على الذين لا يجدون ما ينفقون حرج ولا على الذين ما آتوك لتحملهم قلت لا أجد ما أحملكم عليه تولوا وأعينهم نفيض من الدمع حزنا ألا يجدوا ما ينفقون إنما السبيل على الذين يستأذنونك وهم أغنياء رضوا بأن يكونوا مع الخوالف وطبع الله على قلوبهم فهم لا يعلمون وَيَعْتَذِرُونَ إِلَيْكُمْ إِذَا رَجَعْتُمْ إِلَيْهِمْ قُلْ لَا تَعْتَذِرُوا لَن نُؤْمِنَ لَكُمْ قَدْ نَبَّأَنَا اللَّهُ مِنْ أَخْبَارِكُمْ وَسَيَرَى اللَّهُ عَمَلَكُمْ وَرَسُولُهُ ثُمَّ تُرَدُّونَ إِلَى عَالِمِ الْغَيْبِ وَالشَّهَادَةِ فَيُنَبِّئُكُمْ بِمَا كُنْتُمْ تَعْمَلُونَ سَيَحْلِفُونَ بِاللَّهِ لَكُمْ إِذَا انقلبتم إِلَيْهِمْ لِتُعْرِضُوا عَنْهُمْ فَأَعْرِضُوا عَنْهُمْ إِنَّهُمْ رِجْسٌ وَمَأْوَاهُمْ جَهَنَّمُ جَزَاءً بِمَا كَانُوا يَكْسِبُونَ يحلفون لكم لترضوا عنهم فإن ترضوا عنهم فإن الله لا يرضى عن القوم الفاسقين. Alhamdulillah. Go on the next set of words. وَأَجْدَارُ. Wa is an ajdaru, more apt or more suitable. Maghraman is loss. وَيَتَرَبَّصُ and he waits. Wa is and, ya is he. Rabasa is to wait and he waits. Ad-dawair changes in turn, circuits. That means things go round from the da'ira, right? Dawair, going round. All right. Al-A'rabi, the Bedouins. We know the word A'rab means Bedouins. Ashaddu, stronger. Kufran, disbelief. Wa nifaqan, wa is and nifaq is hypocrisy. Wa ajdaru, and more likely. Wa ajdaru and more apt. Allah, that not. Ya'lamu, they know. Hudud, limits. Al-a'rabu ashaddu kufran wa nifaqan wa ajdaru alla ya'lamu hudud. The word is had. Had is singular, hudud is plural. Ma anzalallahu ala rasulihi, what sent Allah on his Rasul messenger. Wallahu alimun hakim, and Allah all-knowing, all-wise. The dwellers of the desert are very hard in disbelief and hypocrisy and more disposed not to know the limits of what Allah has revealed to his messenger, and Allah is knowing, Allah is wise. Again, talking about the Bedouins, Al-Arabi, ashaddu, much stronger in their kufur and their hypocrisy. So Allah highlights the fact that these Bedouins, they are very, very strong in their disbelief and in their hypocrisy. Bedouins were residents of various scattered rural or desert settlements around Medina, who were self-governed within their own clans and were not accustomed to being governed by any central authority. So they've got their own rules and regulations we need to follow, and they are not used to following any central authority. When the Islamic State was established in Medina, they observed with interest. Initially, they watched the conflict between the pagans, that's the Quraysh, and the Muslims from the sidelines, so they didn't get involved. When the Islamic State became a power to reckon with and it defeated all of its enemies, many of them thought it expedient to become Muslims and to align with a growing power. So they become Muslims not because of their belief, but because they felt that it's an opportunity. They find that it will do them good to actually be with the Muslims because the Muslims are powerful. According to the general concept of religion, which has been prevalent among the majority of the people of the world over the ages, they assumed Islam would be a similar religion. So to them, Islam is about praying to their gods, about revering their gods, and nothing more than that. As of with all religion, instead of showing the devotion to an idol, they would make the devotion to Allah, respect the Prophet ﷺ as other religious leaders were respected. So that's what it is, just about, okay, instead of going to the idols, we'll go to Allah. We'll respect the Prophet as all religious people are being respected. Present him some offerings once in a while and get some blessings and amulets for their success in the matters of the material world. So that's how they see the Prophet ﷺ. Give him some presents and then get blessings and maybe some amulets for success, some du'as and whatever success in the matters of the material world. Imam Ahmad relates on the authority of Ibn Abbas radiallahu anhu that Rasulullah ﷺ said, whoever lives the desert develops a rough edge, that means become very hard. And whoever chases game loses concentration. So that's another. Game is an animal who chases, who goes hunting will lose concentration. And whoever attends rulers may yield to temptations. So whoever serve kings, right, will eventually succumb to temptations. Because desert people are rough, Allah has not selected his messengers from among them. Messengers must be people of great honor and nobility, and they are people of the towns. When a Bedouin gave a present to Rasulullah ﷺ, the Prophet ﷺ gave him back a much more valuable gift so that he was well pleased. That is the way they are. So Rasulullah knew how to manage them and how to handle them. He then said, I feel I should not accept any gift unless it comes from a man from Quraysh, Taqif, the Ansar, or the Daws. So after a while, because he needs to give them much more. We don't know what was the state, but he felt that he might not be best not to take any from them. Needless to say that these were far more gentle in character and behavior because they were the dwellers of the main centers in Arabia at that time, Makkah, Ta'if, Medina, and Yemen respectively. So these are the people, Quraysh, Makkah, Ta'if, Ta'if people, Ansar, Medina, and the Daws are from Yemen. Muslim reports on the authority of Aisha radiallahu anha, some desert Arabs came in a delegation to meet Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. They asked whether the people of Medina used to kiss their sons. When they were given an answer in the affirmative, they said, but we definitely would not kiss our sons. So there's a situation here. Rasulullah sallallahu said, what can I do for you if Allah has taken mercy out of your heart? So as Allah sees that, as Rasulullah sees that as Allah removing mercy from their hearts, because of those who kiss and hug young kids, it shows a mercy in their hearts. The rough nature of the desert Arabs is well established even after they had accepted Islam. It is only natural, therefore, that they would be harder in their stubborn rejection of the faith or in their hypocrisy. So it's understood that is their character. They were too brutal when victorious and very hypocritical when subdued. They were aggressive and would observe no limits. وَأَجْدَرُوا أَلَّا يَعْلَمُوا حُدُودَ مَا أَنزَلَ اللَّهُ عَلَى رَسُولِهِ. All right, so it is quite obvious that they do not know the limits of Allah. Whatever is revealed to Allah, revealed by Allah, whichever Allah revealed on Rasul, on His Rasul. They did not bother to learn Islam properly so that they would clearly understand that it was a deen, a system of life, not merely a religion. So the word deen means a way that we manages the resources that Allah has blessed us with. Always being aware of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in using His resources. Once they accepted Islam, they were expected to spend time in learning the deen, establish salah, pay zakat annually according to the established rates, abide by the law and order, submit to the political authority and court system, and above all, strive hard for the objective of deen and fight in the way of Allah when needed. So that was what it is. There's a lot to it in becoming a Muslim because there's a lot of expectations from us. And we have to follow a code of law and submit to authority. This was all too much for them. They're not used to being controlled. They don't like to be told what to do. They had no inclination or time to leave their flocks and crops and spend time on learning the religion. Zakah was particularly troubling for them to pay on their crops at the time of the harvest and annually on their entire assets, including their flocks. It was difficult for them to give out their zakat. There are rulings on zakat on agriculture, zakat on rearing of animals, and those who are into it should learn the rulings of zakat so that they will not default on their zakat. Although they were used to fighting for the defense of their clan or for looting and robbing, fighting only for the pleasure of Allah was also extremely hard for them. So this is hypocrite actually find it difficult to fight for Allah, although they used to fight for their own selves and their families. That's why they would devise different excuses to get out of this responsibility. In other words, they did not want to make any sacrifice for the deen, neither their time nor their assets, nor their persons, indicating a lack of adequate sincerity for the faith. Because they have money, but they're not willing to sacrifice, they're not willing to not willing to sacrifice their time, not willing to sacrifice their religion, not willing to sacrifice their whatever they have. It's precisely what hypocrisy and disbelief is. And that's why Allah will remain displeased with them unless and until they rid themselves of their hypocritical behavior. A Bedouin attended a circle of Zayd ibn Suhaim, a scholar who had a hand injured in the Battle of Nihawan. The Bedouin said to him, "What you say is admirable, but your hand makes me worried." So this is a scholar, he's talking to a scholar. What worries you about my hand? It is my left hand anyway, because it means I can do work with my right hand still. Bedouin said, "I'm not sure which hand they cut, the right or the left." So he's implying that this scholar was a thief, right? And so because the hand is cut, he thought that this is one of the punishments of stealing. He was referring to the punishment for theft, which implied his suspicion that this respected scholar might have been punished for stealing. So this shows that they don't know much. As I said, Allah tells the truth, and so does His Messenger. Salam. When Allah says in this verse 97, the desert Arabs are more tenacious in disbelief and hypocrisy and more likely to be ignorant of the ordinances which Allah has revealed to His Messenger. So it is what Allah tells us, and it is shown by their behavior. Wallahu alimun hakim, and Allah is all-knowing, all-wise. He knows His creation, their circumstances, characteristics, and nature. He has given them a variety of talents, capabilities, specialities, and He made them into races, communities, and nations. All these and His laws are manifestations of His wisdom. So He knows and He is wise. وَمِنَ الْأَعْرَابِ مَنْ يَتَّخِذُ مَا يُنْفِقُ مَغْرَمًا. وَمِنْ and of, so that means not all, but of the Bedouins. One, يَتَّخِذُ, he takes, right? Ma, what yunfiqu, he spends, maghraman, a fine. Of the Bedouins, one, he takes what? He spends a fine. So he takes this expenditure, the zakat and the sadaqah, as a fine, as a punishment on him. وَيَتَرَبَّصُ, and he awaits. Wa is an, yatarabbasu, we can see the ta is a stafa'ala structure. And he waits in himself, bikum, for you. Ad-dawa'ir, the turn. Dawa'ir is things that goes around. Alayhim, on them. Da'iratu su, the turn of evil. Right? Da'irah, turn, su is evil, the turn of evil. Wa minal a'rabi man yattakhidhu ma yunfiqu maghara ma wa yatarabbasu bikum dawa'ira alaihim da'iratu saw. Wallahu sami'un alim, and Allah is all hearing, all knowing. So Allah says, of the Arabs, وَمِنَ الْأَعْرَابِ, of the Bedouins, مَنْ يَتَّخِذُ, is one who takes what? مَا يُنْفِقُ مَغْرَمًا, whatever he spends, مَغْرَمًا, as a fine. All right, so he didn't do it sincerely. Some of the Bedouin tribes had accepted Islam only as an expedient move to line with the rising power, but they were not serious about it. It's a reality of those people who accept Islam. They don't want to learn, they just want to be an ally to a stronger power. Such a person needs to give some of his money in zakat and to contribute to the jihad campaigns. In this way, he gives evidence of his being a Muslim and is thus able to enjoy the comforts of life in the Muslim community. So the Muslims must give zakat and must contribute to the jihad. He is also able to win favor with the Muslims who were the major power in Arabia. So that's what he has to do, right? To him, what he spends is a clear loss which he is forced to pay. So he is forced to give zakat, he is forced to give sadaqah, and all these are losses on him. He does not give it out of any good and towards his will towards Islam or the Muslims. Give out of any goodwill towards Islam or the Muslims. وَيَتَرَبَّصُوا بِكُمُ الدَّوَائِرِ وَيَتَرَبَّصُوا, and they wait in you, right? They wait that evil will come to you, actually. Ad-dawa'ir means a turning of events. So now things are good, so they hope that it will, the war will turn over and the disbelievers will win. Moreover, those hypocrites who live at the time of Rasulullah waited for arrival of some horrible creatures against the Muslims, horrible calamities against the Muslims. They don't like that they are victorious. They don't like that the Muslims are victorious. Right, so these are the Arabs very envious of the Muslims during the Muslims' time, and the Muslims were doing well. They would love to see the Muslims return from battle defeated. So that's how bad their intentions were. They awaited the death of Rasulullah momentarily, or that the Muslims be defeated and scattered so that they could make their inward aims manifest freely. So that is their agenda. They wanted to defeat the Muslims. This opportunity arose at the death of Rasulullah when such tribes declare apostasy and others refuse to pay zakat, thus rebelling against Abu Bakr's Khilafah. All right, so they were sincere, when they give also, they give it because they were afraid of some kind of bad thing happening on them. Alaihim da'iratu saw, on them is the fragments, is the da'ira. Alaihim, that is the evil thing. The evil turn will be on them. Here is a supplication against them, is stated here. A supplication against them is stated here. A supplication by Allah signifies certainty. Allah is saying on them is a turn of events, evil turn of events. So they're going to get it next. Hence, the supplication is given here in the form of a statement. The Arabic expression describes evil as if it has a circle which closes in on them and from which they can have no escape. So da'ir is like a circle. It turns them around and they are seized in the middle with no let up. This abstract notion describes it vividly and concrete terms, brings the meaning closer to our minds. Wallahu Sami'un Alim, and Allah is all hearing and all knowing. His hearing and knowledge are attributes which fit in perfectly with the atmosphere of ill intention. They're waiting for misfortune to befall the Muslim community. And if the hypocrisy that fills their hearts, although they try hard to conceal it. Allah certainly hears what they say and He knows what they hide and what they keep in the hearts. Allah Sami'un Alim, Sami, all hearing, Alim, all knowing. Definitely wherever you are, Allah will hear you. Nobody can hide away from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. All right, we'll stop here. We'll go a little bit. وَمِنَ الْأَعْرَابِ مَنْ يُؤْمِنُ بِاللَّهِ وَالْيَوْمِ الْآخِرِ. And of the Bedouins, one, he believes in Allah and the last day. وَيَتَّخِذُ, and he takes ma, what, يُنْفِقُ, he spends, قُرُوبَةٍ, a nearness in Allah, with Allah. وَمِنَ الْأَعْرَابِ مَنْ يُؤْمِنُ بِاللَّهِ وَالْيَوْمِ الْآخِرِ وَيَتَّخِذُ مَا يُنْفِقُ قُرُبَاتٍ عِنْدَ اللَّهِ. وَصَلَوَاتِ الرَّسُولِ. Salawati Rasul is of structure, blessings of the, and blessings of the messenger, and blessings of the messenger. Allah, oh yes. Innaha, surely it, qurbatun, a closeness, qarib, lahum, for them. Sayudkhiluhum, will admit them. Sa is will yadkhulu, admit them. Who admitting them? Allah. Allah is a who there. Fi rahmatih, in His mercy. Inna Allah, surely Allah, Ghafurur Rahim, most forgiving, most merciful. The dwellers with us are those who believe in Allah and the later day and take what they spend to be the nearness of Allah and the Messenger's prayers. Surely it shall be means of nearness for them, and Allah will make them enter His mercy. Surely Allah is forgiving and merciful. So here, وَمِنَ الْأَعْرَابِ مَنْ يُؤْمِنُ بِاللَّهِ وَالْيَوْمِ الْآخِرِ. So it's of those people, of the Bedouins. So there are Bedouins who are good, not all of them are bad, and they believe in Allah and the last day. What motivates these people to spend their money is their belief in Allah and the last day. The day of judgment, they have no fear of people, then they feel no need to flatter those in power. They make no calculation of profit and loss which they are likely to make in this world. So they are people of وَمِنَ الْأَعْرَابِ, and the people are the Bedouins here, when you believe in the Akhirah. Believe in Allah and in important, believe in Allah and the Akhirah, because believe in Allah, Arabs all believe in Allah, but they don't believe in Akhirah. So believe in Akhirah pushes you to obey Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. وَيَتَّخِذُ مَا يُنْفِقُ قُرُوبَةٍ عِنْدَ اللَّهِ. So they took whatever they spend as a means of to get close to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So their aim is on only to get close to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. These group of believers wish that what they spend of their wealth will bring them closer to Allah. وَصَلَوَاتِ Rasul, and not only closer to Allah and get the blessings of the Rasul. They are eager to be remembered in the Prophet's prayers. The remembrance would demonstrate that He is pleased with them. His prayers are certainly answered by Allah as He devotes them to believers who spend their money for Allah's sake. Ala innaha qurbatul lahum. So they are to be remembered by the Prophet's prayers. The remembrance will demonstrate that this is pleased with them. So Rasulullah will actually salawat for these people who spend their money, who believe in Allah in the last day, and spend their money to get closer to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Allah, right? Definitely. Innaha, only it, qurbatul lahum. Allah says definitely it will be a means of closeness for them. When what they give is indeed a means to give them what they wish of by being close to Allah. Sayudkhiluhumullahu fi rahmah, surely He will admit them in His mercy. They are further given the news of an even happier destiny as a certain promise by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Again, mercy is described in rather concrete terms to set it in contrast with the evil turn. Mercy is described here as if it is a house into which they are admitted. So by the mercy of Allah, they enter Jannah. Inna Allah, surely Allah, Ghafurur Rahim, most forgiving, most merciful. And when people do acts, sometimes the acts are not so good, so Allah forgives them and also have mercy on them and admit them into Jannah. He accepts repentance and charity. He forgives past sins and bestows His mercy on those who seek it. So that is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Ghafur and Rahim. Al-A'rabu ashaddu kufran wa nifaqan wa ajdaru alla ya'lamu hududa ma anzalallahu ala rasulihi wallahu alimun hakim. ومن الأعراب من يتخذ ما ينفق مغرما ويتربص بكم الدوائر عليهم دائرة السوء والله سميع عليم. ومن الأعراب من يؤمن بالله واليوم الآخر ويتخذ ما ينفق قربات عند الله وصلوات الرسول ala innaha qurbatul lahum sayudkhiluhumullahu fi rahmatih innallaha ghafurur rahim. Allahumma arhamna bil Quran waj'alhu lana imaman wa nuran wa hudan wa rahmah. Allahumma dhakkirna minhu ma nasina wa 'allimna minhu ma jahilna warzuqna tilawatahu ana al-laili wa atrafan nahar waj'alhu lana hujjatan ya rabbal alamin. Allahumma astaudi'uka ma 'allamtani fadudhu ilayya waqta hajati ilayhi fala tunsinihi ya rabbal alamin. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Alhamdulillahi rabbil alamin. Wassalatu wassalamu ala sayyidina Muhammad wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajma'in. Rabbana anfa'na bima 'allamtana. Rabbi 'allimna alladhi yanfa'una. Rabbi faqihna wa faqih ahlana wa qarabatin lana fi dinina ma'a ahli al-qutri untha wa dhakar. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Al-'asr innal insana lafi khusr illa alladhina amanu wa 'amilus solihat wa tawassaw bil haqq wa tawassaw bis sabr. Subhanakallahumma wa bihamdika nashhadu an la ilaha illa anta nastaghfiruka wa natubu ilaik. Subhanakallahumma wa bihamdika nashhadu an la ilaha illa anta nastaghfiruka wa natubu ilaik. Subhanakallahumma wa bihamdika nashhadu an la ilaha illa anta nastaghfiruka wa natubu ilaik. Assalamu alaikum.